everybody. Let's get ready to get started here. I am hoping that you're out there. I started just a couple seconds early, but it's going, and I'm going to start watching for comments. I can be found on my website, DDStamps.com. I can be found on YouTube. I can be found on Google, and I can be found on Facebook. And anywhere that you are, if you have the capability, you can send me a message through the chat box. If you're on Facebook, it's down below the picture. If you're on YouTube, I think it's down below, but you might have to be signed into a YouTube account. And if you're on my website, you can go ahead and send a comment, and I will be able to pick it up because my website will email me, and I've got my phone here to check my mail. So I'm going to tell you from the get-go, I have kind of been on the brink of getting sick, and about 45 minutes ago, my nose started to stuff up, and I thought, oh goodness, here we go. So hopefully my voice holds out for the night. I do have a lot planned, and I plan to answer your questions. If you are having trouble hearing or seeing me, let me know. I'm kind of watching to see. Can you guys see me and hear me? And if you are, tell me where you're from. I see a lot of people are jumping on a little bit early. It was kind of nice to be able to go in and see who was here. Kelly, yes, I'm looking forward to our retreat next week too. It's going to be fun. Next week I have a retreat here in Red Lodge. And we spend Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, part of the Sunday, at a lodge here. And somebody else does all the cooking. Yay! And we just have big craft area downstairs. It's my actual first big retreat like this. I'm excited about it. And I have people coming from all over, and I'm kind of sad because I have a couple gals coming from Washington and one from Texas. I was hoping we'd be buried in snow, but we have had 50-degree weather, and it's just been crazy. So I'm still kind of checking. I see it. I think you guys can hear and see me on YouTube, but how about Facebook? Anybody on Facebook be able to? Is it repeating for anyone but me? If it's repeating for you, go ahead and just refresh your screen. Oh, good. Tanya can hear me, and she's over in Australia. So that means we're good to go. Okay, well, as I said, tonight is going to be a birthday party night. We're going to have a big party here. Yay! This is so goofy that I can do this, but I'm not going to do it the whole time because it's too goofy. Anyway, like I said, my voice is if it holds out, it'll be amazing. But we will go ahead and get started. Let me pull up some slides because there's a couple things I wanted to tell you before we got started. If you are on Facebook, there's a couple of little settings on your, and on YouTube actually, that you can set. And if you will look at, I can't find my slides here. Just a second. Here we go. Okay, so if you go down here on YouTube or on Facebook and you see this little gear right here, if you hit that little gear, you can control how good of a quality picture you get. The higher the number, the better the quality, but you might get some spooling, or it might bump you off. If you're having some trouble and it's jumping around, I mean, you might want to take that number down a little bit, but that's the way you do that. And then down here on this corner, there's a little box that says auto refresh comments. And if you have that checked, they'll automatically refresh every 90 seconds, which means that if you're in the middle of typing something to me and it decides to refresh the screen, you've lost all your typing, and then you're really bummed out. So what I would recommend is that you uncheck it while you're typing, or uncheck it if you don't need to see the comments, so that when you are commenting, it doesn't refresh on you, and then you won't have that struggle. But you can always refresh your comments over here. Now, like I've done in the past, I won't be able to read all the comments until you guys are watching one of the videos that I did. And I will tell you that I actually just finished one of the videos at about 6:30 tonight, got it uploaded and ready to go. But I got it all done, so I was pretty happy with myself. So we are going to go ahead. Everything tonight has to do with birthdays. Not that I just want it all to be about my birthday, but you know, what the heck? It is my birthday coming up. But there's so much stuff for birthdays in the holiday or in the occasions mini catalog. And I have to tell you, I hope Marianne's out there. I got both your cards. I always love it when I get cards in the mail. This one here came a couple days ago. And if you guys had placed an order with me last month, I think I've sent a card out very similar. Marianne just changed it up a little bit and made it her own, and I love that. And then I got this one in the mail today, and I was really excited because this is one of the stamp sets that I'm using tonight for some of our projects. So it's always nice to have other samples of what other people have done. So our first card is this one, and it's got a couple different techniques in it. I wanted you to learn this little paper technique, which I think is easy. But I also got some little fun little tidbits in there. So I am going to be checking out around on YouTube and Facebook and the website. If you are making comments, I will be checking them while the video is running, and hopefully I'll be able to answer them. So anyway, let me get started. Hey Stampers, Diane Dimich here with DDStamps.com, and today I'm going to show you how I did this card. It's actually very simple. Simple. There's a couple little techniques I wanted to show you in here, especially like with the strings on the balloon, and show you that I did do the inside of the card too. Anyway, to get started, I'm going to use a card base of mint macaron, and this one's actually going to cut to be open this way. It's just a different way of cutting your paper. You take an 8.5 by 11 sheet of cardstock and you cut it at 4 1/4. This way you score it at 5 1/2. And if you want your card to open this way, you would cut your paper in half at 5 1/2 and score it 4 1/4. So it's just the opposite, but it's just another way to make your cards and have them open up a different way. And then I've got a piece here of our designer series paper, which is called Birthday Bouquet. And this piece is actually a little less than 4 1/4 and a little less than 5 1/2. And I just wanted to show you quickly, I've got some papers here. Some of them are scraps because that's all I have left because I used up these. But these are the papers, and they're absolutely gorgeous. They got great color. I love the ice cream cones. I love the flowers. Lots of fun colors on this side. And then the other side is lots of just background papers. So a nice variety of papers to use, and your cards will look totally different just depending on the paper that you're using. The stamp set that I'm using is Balloon Celebration, and the punch, the balloon punch, goes with that. And so to get started, for some reason I keep looking at this. Oh no, it's right. I keep looking at it thinking it was cut a little big, but you can see I just cut it so there's just a little tiny, 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 tiny border around there. And to do my paper, it's super easy. I'm not going to measure, but you could if you wanted to. But I'm just going to take a pair of scissors, kind of eyeball it, and cut my paper down. And then I'm going to come in with a ruler. And on this ruler, I'm going to match up this corner here. I suppose I better get it in the light here. This corner here to where my cut is. So I'm just going to lay my ruler there, kind of line it up, and then bend the paper back. And that's just to help me so I don't rip my paper. And I'm going to do that on both sides. And I love this technique, especially with our great designer series papers that are printed on both sides. And this way, your paper, you get the benefit of both sides. It's called, it's a cut we used to do a long time ago. Looks like a collar, though, of a shirt, doesn't it? So if you wanted to, of course, you wouldn't have balloons going that way, but you could put little buttons down here and make it a collar of a shirt. And then this is just going to get attached onto my card base, and then I'll start the process of my cards. So to begin with, we are going to come in with the stamps, and I'm going to use to line these up so that they work great with the punch. So to begin with, what I did is I just took a scrap piece of paper and I flipped it over and I punched out the punch. And then I wrote on there front so that I know that that's the front. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the stamps that coordinate with that punch and lay them so the flat side is up. And this is going to help me align them. And you can feel it in there. You'll feel it, especially I'm using cardstock, so you can kind of feel the ridge. But that will help you line them up and then put them on a block. And then they match perfectly with your punch when you go to punch them out. And I've got a couple of scraps of paper here that I'm using. So I'm going to come in to begin with the Blush Blossom. Oh, sorry, Blush Blossom was an old color. Blushing Bride. So I'm using Blushing Bride ink, Blushing Bride cardstock. And I'm just going to stamp those down onto that cardstock like that. And then quickly, I'm going to show you how I did the inside. I'm going to do the inside, these little shading of these balloons too. Same thing. These are the shading parts, and so you're going to line them up where you would want them on the, whoops, on the stamp in your template. Easy way to stamp your images quickly. Once you've got that on there, I'm just going to ink those up again in that Blushing Bride, and then I can take them right to my balloons and stamp them. Ta-da! And you've got 2 cute shaded balloons. And once you've got those set up, you could just do a whole bunch of them. And then you're going to punch out your cardstock. And I'm going to do the same thing. Once you've got it lined up there, see how they line up in there? So don't mind me. I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing with the Mint Macaron on the Mint Macaron cardstock, and I will be right back. Okay, so once I have those balloons punched, I am going to come in on my card, and I'm actually going to put this card together. So I'm just going to add, I have little bits of ribbon around it. I'll show you here in a second why. So I'm just going to add some adhesive to this and add this to the front of my card. And then I'm going to take a couple of dimensionals. And on this little paper collar here, I'm adding just a dimensional on the back because I want it to have just a little bit of lift. I like that. I like the dimensional look of that paper just folded back. And then that one dimensional in there gives it just a little bit of lift. And then the other thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to take some of our glitter ribbon, and I cut the ribbon, and then I just cut the edge, you know, right down the edge of the where it's sewn. And then you can pull these off. And this is what I'm using for my balloon strings. So I'm using, and they're kind of glittery. Probably can't see them so well there, but you can see them in the card. See how glittery my balloon strings are? Just adds a little bit of texture, and it's kind of a fun way to use that glitter ribbon. So I've got those little pieces all over. So what I did is I took my balloons, and I'm going to use the big ones on the front of the card. So I just line up that string and put a dimensional on there, and that's going to hold that on there. And I'm going to do the same thing with my mint one. And I'll just line that up. Hope I'm in the camera. And then that's how my balloons are going to get added onto my card. So a couple of dimensionals. And then you just lay your balloon on there, wherever you want them. Like that. And there's my balloons with these great little glittery strings hanging down on them. And then I'm going to take some of those strings, and I can actually, I hope you can see this, it's pretty tiny, but you can actually just make little tiny bows. I know, it seems kind of fussy, but it's so cute. And then you've got a bow that I can tie onto my balloon. And to put those on, I'm going to use some of our fine tip glue pen. And this is just a great little glue. It's got a very fine tip on it. Just adds a little bit of glitter. You're going to lay that down. And I know my strings are too long. I can trim them up after that glue dries. But that's going to hold that down there on that balloon with a little tie on it, and then these little glitter strings. So I'm just going to let that sit for a minute. And then, as you can see on this card, I went ahead and stamped a verse in there, and this one says, "Come let us sit together and drink." And then when you open the card, it says, "Tea and eat cake." There's birthday stamps in there. There's all kinds of things. I used those 2 little stamps, or 2 little balloons that I punched out. I just mounted them on with some snail adhesive, and I did stamp the strings to coordinate with them, and those are stamped onto the cardstock. So just a really fun little technique, but I think you're going to love that glitter ribbon. And if you pull a whole bunch of these off, you know, once you've got it cut, they'll stay on there until you pull them apart, and you just pull it off like this. But you could pull like a whole bunch of strings and do some really fun stuff, really fun little texture on your cards.
I don't know, I just love them. I love the glitter ribbon, but I really love it that you can pull it apart. So I hope you enjoyed that. If you have any questions, feel free to...
Okay, so there's my first card. I love that technique, and I love the look of those balloons. But my favorite thing, I think, is the template. And you can do that with all of your stamps that, or punches that have stamps that coordinate with them. Make that little template, and then you can, it's easy to set them up on a block. And once it's set up, then you can just stamp a whole bunch in a row. I hope that makes sense. I think it's funny that, aren't you glad that you're like a screen away from me so that you're not getting any of my germs? Anyway, while I was posting around, somebody sent me an email and they asked me tonight to show how to re-ink an ink pad. And so I ran over and got, while you guys were watching, I ran over and got the tools that I use. Of course, you need an ink pad that might be a little dry. You need a refill that coordinates. And use a spoon, or I use my bone folder, but you can use anything. But what you're going to do is you're going to open up your pad, and you can usually tell when you're looking at your pad. See how it's kind of lighter? I don't know if you guys can see that, but it's lighter in the middle. That's just because I always tend to stamp in the middle of an ink pad, and so the ink goes away from there first. And what you're going to do is you're going to shake your bottle of refill, and then you're going to dab a couple dots on there, and I'll just show you. And you don't want to over ink it, because that ink is sitting right at the top of these pads, especially if you have the foam pads, that the foam that I have. It sits right at the top. And so there you have all your little dots. And once you have that, then you're going to take like a bone folder, and just like it was frosting, you're just going to kind of move it around. Actually, this is really dry. I could really do even more on here. But you're just going to kind of move that ink around to give it, oh, it's really dry. Gosh, I used it today too. Maybe that's why it's dry. And it's so dry here. We haven't had snow forever. And so we're sitting, you know, really dry, no humidity. Anyway, well, now you can see it. So it's just kind of like frosting a cake, just like a birthday. Aren't I just terrible? Anyway, and then it's ready to go. So that's how easy it is. You just don't want to over ink them. If you do over ink them, then you end up with ink everywhere. But you can just take like a paper towel or a piece of paper or something and just pat it on top of there and get some of that off. So I hope that answers your question. I don't know. I didn't really see any other questions. I know some people were having trouble seeing me, hearing me. I'm hoping that you found me and that you can see and hear me now. I'll tell you now to refresh your screen, but those of you who are seeing and hearing me probably already have your screen refreshed. Makes sense? Everybody over on, yeah, I know, Di, I got a bad cold, but you know, I haven't been sick for a long time, and everybody in town seems to be sick, so I can deal with this. Cold is nothing. Okay, I am gonna pull up my screen. Oh, I know what. Oh, wait. I know what I was going to do. We were going to do a card giveaway. So I'm going to send this card to somebody. And I'm watching. Oh, good. Terry, you got on good. Good. Lynette, hello. Oh, Pam likes the balloon cards behind me. I'm going to talk about those in a minute. A couple of them in there. Okay, so this is the question this time for this card. I'm going to mail this card out to you. If you can tell me the two colors that I used of ink in this card for the balloons. So the balloons are they're two different colors. You have to get the names correct because I made a mistake in the video and then I corrected myself. And so that way I thought, well, maybe they caught it. So the first person who answers the correct question, I will mail the card to. Sandy, you are welcome. I'm glad I can show you how to do the re-inking. If anybody else has any questions, one of the things I love about these online things is that if you have a question, I can just get up and find the stuff in my room and show it to you. Okay, so I've got a winner over on YouTube. It happens to be Creations by Ashley. So I don't know, Ashley, if you want to send me either an email at Diane@DDStamps.com or a message on Facebook with your address, and I will send that card out in the mail. So thank you all for playing along. Yeah, the correct answer was Blushing Bride and Mint Macaron, and I think I said, I don't know, I said something, another color that we used to have. I can't remember. But I'm going to click up here. The other thing I'm going to let you know is after the, oh, I didn't mean to do that. Hi. After this event is over, I am going to, I'll have the slides available for you so that you can go back and watch the videos. And actually, if you watch them without me playing them, if you're actually just watching it on your computer without me being on live, you might be able to see them a little clearer. Oh, good thing I checked because I thought that I was not on screen anymore. So these slides will all be available, and they'll be available over on Facebook, and I'll try to remember to put a link on my website. But they'll be over on Facebook, and then you can just click through the slides, watch the videos again, and then all these slides are clickable links to products that are available. And so this is the list of products that I used for that particular card. So yes, the answer was Blushing Bride and Mint Macaron. So way to go, Ashley. Here are a couple more cards done with that same stamp set. It's kind of a cute little set. You can do a lot with it. And I think I have a couple samples of things that are not necessarily balloons done with that stamp set. So here's another card. Oh, this one. I'm going to try something new tonight. I have a video that I could not put, I couldn't put into the slideshow, and so I have to have it as a separate video, and I'm going to see if that works because it's just a video that's on my laptop or on my computer. Well, so far so good. But I'm going to try this, and then if it works, that'll be great. So this is making that card. And this gal, this is a friend of mine who's a demonstrator, and she just had some different ideas of ways to line up your balloons. And I thought, oh, that's kind of cool. And so, you know, everybody does things a little bit differently. So it's nice to have some new ideas. So this is that card, a little something for you.
In this video, I'm going to show you how to create this A Little Something for You card featuring Stampin' Up's Balloon Celebration stamp set and coordinating punch. Now, this card demonstrates a generation stamping technique whereby you get 3 different tones of a color from a single color of ink. So I have here a 4 by 5 1/4 inch piece of Whisper White cardstock, and I'm going to be stamping onto it this largest cloud image from Stampin' Up's Balloon Celebration stamp set, and I'm going to be stamping it in Pool Party Classic ink. So I'm starting off by pressing my stamp against my ink pad, making sure that it's completely inked, and then I'm going to start by stamping it towards the top of my cardstock piece so that it slightly overlaps the left-hand edge. I'm going to ink up the stamp again. Now, when you're working with a large solid image stamp like this, you do have to make sure, and especially when it's the first few times that you're stamping it, you want to make sure that it's well inked and that you apply firm pressure on your stamp. And you can actually see through the stamp to make sure that the ink is completely transferring. So I'm just using my fingers where it looks like there might be a little bit of an air bubble and it didn't stamp. I'm just pressing down with my fingers to make sure that I get a nice clear impression. So there you can see I've layered my first 2 cloud images, one on top of the other. And then I'm going to stamp one a little bit lower down. This time, this one's going to be overhanging the right-hand edge of my cardstock. And I'm going to overlap another cloud stamp on top, and this time just slightly overhanging the right-hand edge. And then now I'm just trying to figure out where else I might want to place some single stamped images. So I think I'm going to do one there. And then probably one there, and maybe just one at the bottom. So there you can see how that looks. So now I have here a scrap piece of Whisper White cardstock, and I'm going to be stamping the largest balloon image from the Balloon Celebration stamp set. There's three components to this image. There's the outline, a solid inside, and then this accent piece. Now I'm going to be showing you a technique called generation stamping, and we're going to be using Melon Mambo ink pad. So essentially we're utilizing all the different tones of this single ink color. So I'm going to start. Now for this technique, I am going to be using a Stampin-A-Jig. It's a little bit easier, even though this is a clear photopolymer stamp. So first thing we want to do is to ink up your balloon image. And then we are going to stamp off once, and then stamp this onto our cardstock piece. So you can see how we have that lighter tone. Then I'm going to take this inner area, and this is where my Stampin-A-Jig comes in. So I'm now inking this image up in my Melon Mambo, and I am stamping full strength. So there you can see how that looks. Now I'm going to take the outline image and let's see, I think I'm going to ink it up. I was contemplating whether to ink it in black or Melon Mambo, but I think I'm just going to do Melon Mambo. And this time what we're going to do is we are going to, so that's the first strength, so we're going to double stamp. And you can see what that does is make it a little bit darker. And if you want it even darker than that, you can stamp one more time. Because you're using your Stampin-A-Jig, as long as you don't move the T-tool, you have the ability to do that. So now I am going to take the coordinating punch, and I'm going to punch out my balloon. So I'm just lining it up in the window and punching. So there you can see we have our image stamped. So now you'll remember that the punch we used to punch out our pink balloon had a second piece. So I have this already punched out piece. So instead of stamping and punching and then wasting this one, I'm just going to stamp directly onto that piece. So it's either way you can do it. You can stamp first, then punch, or you can punch and then stamp. Now for this, so I have it adhered to my grid paper using a temporary removable adhesive so it doesn't shift as I'm stamping. And then I'm going to be using my Stampin-A-Jig just in order to make sure that I can align it a bit better. If you don't have a Stampin-A-Jig, you can certainly eyeball it. They are clear stamps. I just personally find it a lot easier, especially when I'm trying to be really precise and get this stamped onto an already punched piece. So I'm going to use Crushed Curry Classic Ink, and I'm going to do the same thing I did for the pink balloon. We're going to do some generation stamping. So I've inked up my stamp. I'm stamping off once, and then stamping that onto my balloon. So you can see we have this nice light shade of the yellow. Then I'm going to take the coordinating inner piece of my stamp, and I'm going to stamp that one in the full strength crushed curry, like so. And then I'm going to take my outer image, and I'm going to double stamp that. So again, you can see what we're doing here is we've used the main shade of the color, which is accent piece, we've used one tone lighter, which was the stamped off piece, and then one tone darker, which is the double stamped piece. So there you can see what the crushed curry balloon looks like. So I stamped and punched out a second balloon in exactly the same manner as I had done the first, except this time I stamped first and then punched afterwards. So now I have here a scrap piece of Whisper White cardstock, and I'm going to be creating a sentiment flag. I'm going to be using this sentiment, a little something for you, from the Party Wishes stamp set. Now the reason I went with that sentiment versus one that came in the Balloon Celebration stamp set is that this is a little bit bolder and darker, and because I'm using nice bright colors, I like to have the contrast of a dark sentiment. If you're looking for a more delicate effect to your card, then certainly by all means choose one of the sentiments that come in the Balloon Celebration stamp set. So it's really a matter of personal preference. So I'm taking my scrap piece of Whisper White cardstock, placing it on my grid paper, and I am using my Stamp-A-Majig. And I want to stamp this so that it's probably about a 1/4 inch down from the top edge and about a 1/2 inch in from the right edge. And I'm going to be stamping my sentiment in my Memento Tuxedo Black ink. Like so. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my paper trimmer and I'm going to trim this out, leaving about an equal border as I had in the top. So at about a 1/4 inch below the sentiment. So there you can see how that looks. So now what I want to do is to create a little fishtail on the right hand side. So to do that, I am going to use my paper snips, and I'm going to do this by hand. So I'm just going to cut in on an angle like so, and then towards the center. So I think I need to go just a little bit further, and then match that on the other side like so. And I don't think I did a very good job matching it, so I'm going to go a little bit further like this. So there you can see how that looks. So I now have here my stamped cardstock panel, and I've positioned my balloons approximately where I want them to be. So now what I want to do is I want to stamp a string for each of my balloons, and that's from an image that comes from the stamp set. So I'm placing, as you can see, I placed my images and then positioned my Stamp-A-Majig and then moved the images. Now this is an extremely fine image, so you have to be very careful that you don't press too hard. And what I would suggest, if you're not used to working with an image this fine, practice on your grid paper a few times to get just the right amount of pressure. And again, I'm using my Stamp-A-Majig. So there you can see how that one looks. And then now I'm going to go back with my stamps, or with my balloons, just to kind of figure out where I want them to be. I also have my sentiment here so that I can make sure that that's positioned. This one. And I am stamping it that I want the tails to kind of meet at the bottom. Once again, when you're stamping, make sure you apply just very gentle pressure. So that one's going to go there. That one's going to go there. And then that one I want just a little bit lower. And I'm just experimenting to see which angle I want this to be at. So you can see here, this is what it looks like if I have it this way. This is what it looks like if I flip it the other way. So I actually think, though, I don't mind how this looks like this. So maybe I'll keep it like that, and I'll have the bottom tails intersect a little bit. And then, of course, you want to ink up your stamp, and then just once again, take a minute to make sure you have your stamp oriented correctly. And then gently stamp. So now while I have the balloons positioned where I want them, I'm going to go ahead and stick them down. So for this one, I'm just going to carefully lift that one up and place a little bit of my Tombow Mono Multi-Liquid Glue underneath. And then for my smaller balloons, I'm going to pop those up using a Stampin' dimensional at the back of each. And actually, I don't think I'm going to pop this one up. I think I'm just going to apply a little glue to the back. So there you can see how that looks. So for my sentiment, I've gone ahead and placed 3 Stampin' dimensionals at the back. So I'm just removing the backing from my dimensionals. And then I'm going to stick my sentiment flag so that it's about, I guess, 3/8 of an inch up from the bottom edge of my cardstock, like so. So I embellished just underneath the U with a strip of 6 rhinestones that come from these strips of rhinestones basic jewels. And then I placed a medium and 2 small rhinestones on the balloons. So the last step now for my card is to center and stick my panel onto my card front. And I've created my card out of a 4 1/4 by 11 inch piece of Whisper White thick cardstock. Now we could have actually made this a 1-layer card. So we could have stamped right on to the surface of my card front. The only reason I did not is because I like to add a little dimension to my cards, and the easiest way to do that is simply by creating an extra panel. So even though the panel is white on white, you can still get a nice dimension just by having that extra panel. So to stick my panel on, I'm using my Tombow Mono Multi-Liquid Glue. And then I'm just centering it onto my card front. So there you can see how our card looks, and it's now finished.
Okay, I love how Andrea teaches, because she's so precise when she teaches a class or she's teaching something. She is like the most precise stamper that I've ever known. And she uses her Stamp-A-Majig all the time. She wants everything placed perfectly right where she wants it. But what I like about that, about learning from others, is that you pick up different things. As you know, I'm not real precise. I just kind of throw stuff down and call it good. And so it's nice to learn from somebody like Andrea, who is so precise about what she does. I mean, she's right down to measurements as far as how far down to stamp on a card. But I do have a bonus tonight for those people that do place an order through the weekend. I've got a great birthday tutorial from her. And it's 4 cards, 4 videos with 4 PDFs printed out. Besides the fact that I like to hear her talk, because she's from Canada. And although some people think I'm from Canada, I'm from northern Minnesota. But she has that great Canadian accent. Anyway, so that was Andrea's card, and it worked. I was kind of just seeing if I could do some projects or do some videos that were just on my computer, and I think it worked out okay. So in the comments, if you could let me know if you have any questions. I haven't seen another question pop up, but I wanted to make sure that that I caught them all. But anyway, cute card, and I love her ideas of the Stampin' Off and stamping it 3 times, and you get different color variations. And it's awesome to be able to use your inks for so many different things. So somebody told me they love my shirt, and I have to laugh because I bought this shirt, bought this sweater last week, and it's like Calypso Coral, Blushing Bride, Crumb Cake, and it's got flowers and dragonflies all over it. And yes, it does look like a stamped card. You can see the images up here. I mean, I probably have stamps on my shelf back there that look exactly like that. And I was laughing because when I went to the store, everything I bought had this color in it. I don't know. It was weird, but I don't see any other questions. So I'm going to go on to the next. I'm not really sure what I've got coming up next, but we will see here shortly. Oh, these are the samples that I was telling you about. Now, I think this is so adorable. This is another card from Andrea. Oh, darn it. And you can see where she just stamped the dimension of the balloon, and that gave you the look of flowers. And then there's a couple other stamps in there, and there's a whole bunch of strings put together that she used for stems. I just thought that was really cute. And I like that idea. And then this other happy birthday card, somebody had asked me, what would you do with that thing that looks like a wheel but isn't? And it's just kind of a fun little funky thing for a background. And that card turned out kind of cute. And then add in some rhinestones. But again, Andrea's style is very simple, but very classy. And just by layering that white on white, it makes the card totally different. So that was just one little tip that I liked. I have a tendency to always layer. And I just found out you don't really have to. So. And then these are the cards that are actually behind me. Somebody asked about the cards that were behind me. Back in November, I went out to Washington, the Vancouver area, for a Stampin' Up! Event. And I did a presentation on this bundle of products for the birthday suite. And so these are some of the samples that I did for them. With just using the products from that suite, but really simple cards, but easy to do. And then this was it's a wood block that you put a picture into. Oh, sorry. And then this is actually a gift bag. It's pretty good size. And then this is a gift card holder that I did with the envelope punch board. So that was just some ideas that I had, and there's all piled up behind me. Now I want people to remember that it is celebration, and yeah, somebody said the color looks like strawberry slush too. Yeah, it does. I miss it too. But I kind of like Watermelon Wonder. I've been using that lately. Yeah, Pamela asked, I had sent her question in email, asked about inking on an embossing folder. Do you use that technique? Yes, it's a great shirt. Plus it matches the Blushing Bride ink. Yes. Yes, I do that technique with where you ink onto an embossing folder and then run it through, or use your hand or a brayer or something. Pam, I don't know if I can show it tonight because it's too hard to show. I have to show things up in the air, and so I can't do that. But I will make a video and help you with that. Now, I think you had said you were using distress inks, and I don't use those, but I don't see why you would have an issue. It might just be that you're getting too much ink on the actual folder. Sometimes if you put your ink on with a brayer, it's flatter and it's evener. How's that for a word? And it will work better. Rita asked if I've ever used mica flakes. Gosh, it's been years since I've used mica flakes, but I have used them and just put them down with just some adhesive and then sprinkled them on, kind of covered up. And I've also done shaker cards with the mica flakes. I'm sure you guys can hear the dog in the background. Her chain jingles. Sorry about that. Walford. Debbie Janelle asked what Andrea's last name was, and it's Andrea Walford. She's not a demonstrator, but she is a teacher of stamping. Video worked good. Good, cool. I think I got it. Okay, so I just want you to remind you that it is celebration. There's a couple of items in celebration that are actually going to possibly retire this weekend. They did say the paper might go on longer because they have some more of it. But the Sky's the Limit stamp set, and I think I have a picture of it here. No. Here. The Hello stamp set is going to be gone. The 15th is the last day. The paper might stick around a little bit longer because I have so much of it. And then the Sky's the Limit is the third one. I think I have a picture of that. Or not. That's my next card. Sky's the Limit is the one with the airplane. And I just sent out thank yous this week for January's orders, and they all went out with the airplane on them. But that one will be gone on the 15th, and it's a great masculine card. For those of you who don't know what Celebration is a great time in Stampin' Up. You get free product. Who doesn't love free product? So if you're shopping and you spend $50 worth of product, you get to pick an item out of the Celebration brochure. If you join Stampin' Up, I've had a few people join this week, and some people asked questions earlier about how, what are the benefits of joining. I'm just going to talk briefly about that right now because I really think that people should know. So during Celebration, if you join Stampin' Up, you get to choose $155 worth of product for $99. It's a $30 bonus during Celebration. Usually it's $125 worth of product for $99. It's any product that you want that Stampin' Up sells. And then you become a demonstrator, like I am. And then your quarterly minimum is $300 a quarter. And if you sign up in February, your quarter doesn't actually start until the April 1st. So you've got April, May, June to do a $300 in sales to others or to yourself. So it's any product that Stampin' Up sells. You get a 20% discount. So if it's a $300 in product and you get a 20% discount, you're actually paying $240 for the product. And you can earn hostess benefits. I know people might have questions, and I have a little button down below on Facebook that you can click, and it will take you to ask a web page with answers to some of those questions. But you can always email me or message me on Facebook if you have questions and you want to learn more. I encourage everybody to be a demonstrator because I signed up 20 years ago for the discount, planning to only do it for 6 months. And I guess I thought I could get everything I wanted in 6 months, but I'm still working on that. And I think I will be for the rest of my life. The other way you earn free product is if you host a party, you get $25 and more in free product. So that's always a good deal too, because we all love free stuff. Okay, I went through that. Okay, this is my next card, and I'm going to show on this one the drapery technique, it's called, with the paper. You notice today I was doing some different paper techniques. I love our designer series paper. I think it's beautiful. And this card, it just, I don't know, it was just kind of fun. It's kind of different, kind of a different technique. So while this is playing, I'll be running around looking for questions. And hopefully I'm catching everybody. If I missed your question, just type it in again, and I will hopefully see it.
Hi Stampers, Diane Dimich here with DDStamps.com, and today I'm going to show you how to do this card. It's kind of a new fold that people are doing a lot of lately, and I like the looks of it. It makes your card look really fancy, but it actually is very flat and will slide right into an envelope and be mailed just like that. And so I think we call this the drapery fold. So I'm going to get started with that. To begin with, I'm going to go ahead and we're going to use birthday blooms today. And I am using the paper, Birthday Bouquet. This paper comes with lots of different prints on both sides. There's fabulous colors. For this particular card, I am using this piece here. I'm going to bring in my scoring tool because I'm going to use that. But this is one of the pieces that's in there. And it's cut 4 by 11.5. And so for each 12 by 12 sheet, you could get 3 draperies out of it. And so, oh, there we go. Okay, so here's my stylus. And when you're scoring designer series paper, you want to make sure you don't press too hard because you don't want to tear your paper. So you're going to start at 3, score at 3, 4, 6, 7, 9, and 10. And a quick, easy way how I remember that is it's 3, 6, 9, and then another inch for the next. So 3, 6, 9, 4, 7, 10. And I will have all the measurements and everything up on my website. You can just click the link above there with the supplies and everything. Once you've done that, you've got this score line here that is 3 inches in. I don't know if you guys can see it, so I'll fold it so you can see. And I just take a regular pair of scissors and you're going to cut a diagonal. It doesn't have to be perfect, but you're going to cut it so that you leave about a 1-inch mark there. So I just eyeball it. And cut that right to there. And once I've done that, then I'm going to fold on my score lines. And you'll see how this starts to come together as a drapery. Just like that. I mean, it's really that simple, but it just looks so great. And then I'm coming in with a piece of mint macaron cardstock. This one is actually 5.5 by 8.5, scored at 4 1/4, folded in half. And one of the things I've done with my drapery is on this little piece here, I'm just adding just a little bit of adhesive to hold that down. Like that. And like that. And then I'm going to flip it over and add adhesive to the back. And this all is going to get added right onto my card base. Then you'll see how it fits perfectly with that regular card base that matches up with those measurements. Once I've done that, I'm going to come in. I love this glitter ribbon that we have in the Occasions Mini Catalogs pool party. And I'm going to tie this one in a knot. And I know I've showed you this before, but I'm going to show you one more time. So there's, to do a knot, you need 3 lengths of your card. If you're going to do a bow, do 4 lengths, and then you make sure you have enough to go all the way around. This is definitely going to give us enough to tie a knot in. Like so. Maybe? There we go. And when I'm tying my knot, I usually leave one side, I hold it down and pull the other side, and then the knot doesn't twist. And it stays, it looks good and stays flat. And then I'm just going to go ahead and trim up. You'll see I didn't have to cut very much off of that with the 3 lengths for the knot. So there's my card base. To do the rest, I actually took an image from that stamp set, that big rose, and I'm going to color it. And I am using actually Soft Subtles colors, and then a couple of our ink colors, the Mint Macaron and the Watermelon Wonder. So for the rose, I'm going to use the big brush end of the marker, and I'm actually just going to color in. And I'm not going to make this perfect. I'm just going to put some color in there. And once I have that called the base color down, I'm just going to come in with some of this Watermelon Wonder and just add a few highlights. And actually the Stampin' Up! Stamps have places where there's highlights. So all these little lines, you can just make them, put a little highlight in them. You can do that into the middle. And once I've done that, then I'm going to come back with my Blushing Bride marker, and I'm just going to actually put in a little bit more. And I'm not, like I said, it's not perfect. I'm just doing a little bit of shading. And it kind of blends that marker in a little bit, adds a little color to it, adds a little texture. It isn't going to blend great because it's Whisper White. I don't want it to look like watercolor. I wanted it to look, you know, like I hand colored it. And I'm just going to blend that in. Just adding another layer of color to my petals. I'm going to do that for the whole image, and then I'll be back to show you my last final touch on that piece. Oh, sorry about that. That was my daughter. She's traveling today, and I wanted to make sure I didn't miss her call. So I'm just going to finish.
What happened was my phone rang in the middle of that whole thing, and so I missed the whole coloring of it all. But she's traveling from Chicago back to Oregon, and so I had to take the call.
Finish up coloring in this flower. And then bring in that Wink of Stella again and add a little gold to the inside of that flower. And this actually is just going to get put on the inside of my card to make it almost as nice as the outside of my card. So there you have it. That's the Drapery fold. It works with any of your designer series papers. That's two-sided. It's just really a fun technique. And like I said, the card will fold flat enough that it will be mailed. But it sure is pretty. Thanks. And if you haven't already done so,
so there's that card. And now, of course, this was the video that I was popping up on the popping up on YouTube like at the last minute. So I did miss something in there. My daughter called and I got the whole chunk of it went missing. So sorry about that. But you get the idea. Anyway, it's a cute card. I love the technique. I love the look of the card with the drapery on there. You could add all kinds of stuff, but then the Wink of Stella just adds a nice little pop to it. And then the inside too, like I said, the inside of the card is cute too. I've really gotten into doing the insides of my cards lately. And of course, I should do matching envelopes when I'm doing it. I got a couple of, actually I have 2 of those cards because I was practiced on one and then I did it at the video. So I'm going to give away 2 cards tonight. And I'm going to give them away. Let me check here. How in the world did Miss that Stampin' Up! Now is glitter ribbon? I know, right? It's awesome. They don't have a ton of it, but they do have that pool party, and it's beautiful. And it's in the Occasions mini catalog. That Occasions mini catalog, when you start looking around, there's a lot of stuff you're going to miss. Tanya, thank you for the birthday wishes. Yeah, I love the drapery look too. Let's see, Carolyn, I would like for you to tell the size of card and the size of envelope. Thank you. My normal cards are usually 4 1/4 by 5, and then just the regular Stampin' Up! Envelopes that we sell. I don't know if that's A2. I don't understand the whole card size thing and the envelope size thing. I just order the envelopes that we have, or I use my envelope punch board to make a special envelope. Okay, I think I got them all. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, my daughter she was in Chicago today at a job interview. She's going to graduate out of Oregon in March, and so she's been traveling around the country going to job interviews. It's been kind of fun. It's just, it's a whole new world to her. She's an engineer, and she's just not used to company. She said, they put me up in a nice hotel and took me out to dinner and took me out to lunch. I'm like, honey, that's what it's about. She'll learn. I don't think I missed any questions. Good. Well, that's awesome. Let's see where we are. Oh, I was going to give away that card. That's where I was. So the question is, what was the designer paper that I used? Oh, that was a tough one. You really had to be listening. So the first 2 people that come up with the designer paper that I used will get this card in the mail. And Ashley, I'm going to tell you, you already got one, so you have to be nice and share. Jana asked if the designer series paper is paper or if it's cardstock. And it's not paper like copy paper. It's a little bit heavier than copy paper, but it's not as heavy as cardstock. I hope that makes sense. I do hope that makes sense. Oh. Terry said, yeah, 4 1/4 by 5.5 inches is 8.5 by 11 cut in half. Correct. I always cut them in half and then score them when I'm making my cards. Sonia Hanks, you got the answer correct. It's birthday bouquet. And I have to find it up here. First person that said birthday bouquet was Planner Girl on YouTube. So you 2 are the ones, oh, I just shut down the YouTube things. You 2 are the ones that won. So if you will send me your email or your address, excuse me, you can either do that through Facebook messaging, YouTube, or email, and I can get those sent out to you as soon as possible. So these are the products that I used. And again, these slides will be available afterwards. But I really want to show you that card with that coloring and just layering the same, like even the blushing bride. I put down a layer of blushing bride. Here, I'll do it up close so we can see it. So I put down a layer of blushing bride. And then I put down a layer of the Watermelon Wonder. And then I came back over with the blushing bride just a little bit. And it just added enough texture and dimension to that card to make it look like I'd really spent some time coloring. And I didn't, because you saw me color it. Did the same thing with the flowers. I used Pool Party, and then I used a little bit of Mint Macaron just to add a little shading, and then came back with Pool Party over the top. Now the leaves that are green, I just colored them. I didn't do a whole lot of shading because number one, I was running late and I wanted to finish it, and they look fine. And then of course in the middle of my flower I added Wink of Stella in gold because I love my Wink of Stella. So I added it. Here's a few more cards done with that stamp set that I really liked. I hope that my slides are on. Yeah, good. This one here is gold embossed and then colored inside. This one here, I just love this card. And it's nothing terribly fancy, but you could do it with any stamp set. Good gosh, sorry. Any stamp set. You could just change it out. But I just love that flower, and I love that it's not even on there, you know, the whole image, just part of the image with the tag punch. So there's just a couple more samples of things. Anybody have any more questions before I? Have you tried watercolor on this card? On that bloom? Yes. I like to watercolor. I like to just putz around. In fact, this slide here with the gold embossing looks like it probably, yeah, that was watercolored. So yeah, it's a great one. You know, another technique I just heard of, which I thought was interesting, and I'm going to try that this week, was to emboss an image and then watercolor the background of the image, but leave the image white. Weird, but it looked really cool. And so that's what on my list of hopefully things I get to do this weekend, on my birthday weekend. If I have time, you know, there's always that time factor that I have it on my list. But anyway, so that was just a really cool technique. I'm actually got to go in right now. I am trying to, yeah, I'm trying to get back into YouTube because I can't see the comments anymore. I did something and okay, now I got them. Yeah, I lost the comments on YouTube and I didn't want that to happen. So sorry about that, YouTubers. Okay, so now I'm going to look for questions over there. Planner Girl 1, send me your email. Will it include the scoring too for the drape look? I think you're asking for the directions. Oh, will the instructions be on YouTube later? Yes, yes, they will be. What happened, like I said, is I haven't had time this week to do videos. And so yes, I will be doing up tutorials tomorrow with measurements, scores, all that stuff. And it will all be added on to the video. Now it may not end up actually on YouTube for a couple days, just because it's going to take me a little bit to get it all done. But it will be there shortly. Okay, well, we're getting close to being done, so I just want to give you a little forewarning. Thank you, Jewel, for happy birthday, happy Valentine's Day. When we were kids, my brother's birthday is the 15th of February. Mine is the 13th of February. And one of the things we got to do when we were kids on our birthday was about the only time we went out for dinner. And my brother and I used to get to go together, and we thought that was really cool that we got to celebrate our birthday together. I don't know, weird. But I remember one of my favorite birthday memories with him was, and my mom and dad would take us to anywhere we wanted to go to eat. And we asked if they would take us to Sandy's and if we could eat in the car and each have our own French fries. And my dad let us. And I'm sure my mom was dying laughing because I'm sure they fed us at Sandy's and we ate in the back seat with each having our own French fries, and then took us home, and then they went out and had a really nice dinner. But my brother said he doesn't really remember that, but Sandy's was in our neighborhood and it wasn't something that we got to do very often, so that was kind of funny. Anyway, there's my birthday memory. What was that fold called on that card? People have been calling it the Drapery fold on the card with all the score lines. So it looks like a drape. Okay, that came from Dorinda. No, Lynette, my birthday is actually on Saturday. Saturday is my birthday, so. Okay, I don't see any more questions. Okay, so I'm gonna scoot up here and get going. So the February tutorial is the Rose Wonder Card Collection tutorial, and this one is by Andrea, and it's awesome. It's 4 techniques using the Rose Wonder stamp set. But I have a bonus for everybody this weekend. I'm going to add another tutorial in of 4 different birthday cards, and I can't wait to share that with you. I think you're going to enjoy it. There's some fun stuff in there, and it's always a good. It's always good to get a bonus, and that's my birthday present to you. The other thing I want you to realize is, if you place an order, let's get through the deals here. The weekly deals this week, there's some good ones. That Blossom Punch is a great one. The Thinlit dies, and I do have a video on that, so I'm going to quick show that. But one of the things I want to tell you is, if you use the hostess code that I posted up to order, I'm going to be putting goodie bags together for people next week when the order comes, and sending them off, because everybody gets to go home with a goodie bag at a birthday party. So if you use that number, you will get a goodie bag plus a free tutorial. So here is the baker's box. I just wanted to show a really quick tutorial because it's kind of cute and it's got some great pieces and it's easy to put together.
The baker's box Thinlit die is another clever way for you to wrap up treats or small gifts. This is what the die looks like, and this is the cute box that you can make with it. Now you'll need to cut out 2 pieces, and once you've cut those pieces out, the die not only cuts the shape for you, but then it will also create all the score lines that you need. Now the next thing that you need to decide is if you want to close your box in any special way. You have 3 choices. Here they are right here. So the first choice is with 2 little holes, and it will look like this once you've cut that shape out. And you'll want to cut the main shape of the box out first and then go back and cut out these little holes. So it'll be 2 passes through the Big Shot machine. So that's your first choice. Then you can do a single hole here with a little kind of notch at the top there, and it will look like this once it's cut out. The last choice is to create a little kind of a handle, and that's what's on this piece right here. And that's the one that I'm going to show you how to put together. So here's my 2 pieces. You can see that I've run them through again and cut out the shape for my handle. Then I'm going to take some fast fuse, and you'll just use these notches here to attach your box. Just line those up. So there's one side done. And let's flip this around because it's easier to attach the glue. And then this side, I'll just fold them in like this. And that's all there is to it to create your box. Now the bottom goes together really nice. Has these little notches in the bottom, so it'll just hold together like this. Of course, you can go back and add some adhesive if you want, but it will hold just like that. And then you can go ahead and embellish your box however you would like to. Now, before you do your box, of course, you can do some stamping on it or add any other types of embellishments that you would like. With the die comes these little pieces here, and you could use these shapes to cut out little shapes on the box, or you can use them as tags. But those are just some other pieces that come along in the die. So here's a look at all the pieces that come in the Baker's Box Thinlet die. Just think of all the fun that you can have creating fun little treat boxes just like this one. So contact a demonstrator today and order yours.
Okay, so I just was over on YouTube and I see we had somebody that was over there, what they call trolling. Stephen Curry. And Teresa, I'm not sure what happened with that card, but believe me, I will make sure that you get one in the mail too. So I'm sorry about that. I don't know how I missed it, but I'll take care of that. So if you place your order in the next 72 hours, you will get the bonus goodie bag from me. You will get the bonus birthday tutorial from me. That here is the hostess code. I am going to take you over to this. I'm going to take you over to the store because there's a couple things I wanted to show you. So if you go to www.stampinup.com, you go into the store. This is where you can place your orders. But I want you to, if you have an account, just sign in. I want you to check something because I seem to be getting quite a few what we call no contact orders, which means that there are you've checked something in there in your account so that I can't contact you. So if you go under my account, under my demonstrator, right here, if you check yes on this one, then I will see your name and I will see your address and I'll be able to send your package. If this one is checked no, I can't see anything. I can't see your name. I can't see your address. I see nothing. And that kind of bums me out because I like to send out a hand stamp thank you and a little package, and I want to make sure you get all your freebies. As far as getting updates from Stampin' Up, that's up to you. I don't think it's necessary because I send you all the information. The other thing I want to show you is the shopping bag. When you're shopping, and if you're in your shopping bag and there's something that you want, like a hostess code to apply, this is where you apply your hostess code, and this is where you hit apply, and then it connects it to it, so then I can check on my end to make sure you get the right package. And then somebody had asked during the workshop about celebration items, where they go in at, and under special offers, if you have earned a celebration item, it's going to come up right down here. It says you qualify for one or more free celebration products. If you click on that, then there's a list, and you can scroll through that, and you can find all the celebration stuff. That's how you pick it. Okay. So now we know what time that's done. We are going to do the, excuse me, the door prize slip. So no matter where you are, if you're on YouTube, it's down in the description. If you're on my website, it's right below the video. If you're on Facebook, there should be a button for it. Go ahead and click and fill out the door prize. Oh, sure. Somebody said it was a blurry screen. I'm going to go back to that screen for a minute while you guys are filling out your door prize. I'll leave that one up so that you'll be able to see it. The number 2 should be the hostess code number should be around on YouTube, my website, and Facebook. So, Teresa, you're welcome. Okay. Thank you all for the birthday wishes. That's awesome. That was kind of fun. Oh, Brenda, I'm sorry you can't see me. Maybe that's better. Good, Sandy. I hope you learned some stuff tonight. It's always fun to have a workshop. And I better. Okay, so door prize drawing time. I hope you guys got the hostess code. If not, let me know. What happens when you fill out your door prize slip? Everybody's names goes into a spreadsheet. They're all numbered. I pick a number beforehand to decide who's the winner before we even get started. And I'm going to come on screen for a minute, even though it's probably not a good idea. You guys are getting worse as the night goes on. But I'm almost done, and then I'm going to go to bed. So my number I picked, of course, was going to be my birthday age. 53. Mary Burke, you are the winner of the hostess prize, which is the Floral Wings hostess set. Now, I don't know, Mary, if you have this one, but if you do, let me know and we can find a different hostess set for you. So that's the freebie. The other thing that I do when I send out my goodie packets, anybody that uses that hostess code, we pop them all into a name, I draw a name, and they get a free hostess set on top of the rest of their goodies. If your order happens to be over $150, don't use the hostess code. Take the benefits for yourself. You'll still get the packages from me. If there's no more questions, I want to thank you all for coming. I'm glad that I was able to do this. I was kind of concerned last night thinking, I don't know, but I was great today till this evening. So good. I'm glad you learned something. That's awesome. I will have a great Valentine's Day. Thank you all for the love that you show me. I really appreciate it. So as long as there's no more questions, and I'm sure everybody has learned something, I will speak to you soon. Take care and good night. I'm going to bed. Bye.